Hey, Jacob.
Hey, Don.
How do you think the photography industry is doing in general?
Not a clue.
Luckily, I have a report for you.
Ooh, he's Sorry. Right off the bat.
Our earliest censor beep ever.
I did it. What is this report you speak of?
Okay, so Zenfolio, format, shoot proof, PPA, and who's that? I don't know who that last one is.
That guy.
They, those organizations and companies got together and put out a survey to their users and members and put together a state of the photography industry report.
That's right.
So I thought it'd be interesting for us to go through and just see, you know, obviously this isn't representative of every single photographer, right?
It's 10 seconds and I'm already taking a break.
But
I think it's a pretty
you know,
clear...
they're still pulling some generalizations out of it, and I thought we could go over, see how they compare to, like, our own experiences.
Since we're boots in the trench.
Right, and, like, what we might learn from it, how other people are doing things.
And we have not looked at this.
We've briefly glanced.
Just an idea, but we have not gone into detail because we kind of want to react to it.
Yeah. We just know, like, the topics.
Yeah.
So you guys can come along with us as we discover what they learned. Mm-hmm. So
demographics, what does that mean?
Yeah. All right. So most like 80% of people were from the U.S. or 75% were from the U.S. So most of that. And then in terms of like who responded, 68% said they were photographers only. 21% said photographers and videographers. So some of the responses might seem odd from just a photographer perspective.
There's got to be some video on there. But 68% of us, and we're pretty much the same way of us considering themselves just photographers who don't shoot video, even though we have slowly added it. Slowly.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that that's up 2.5% from last year is that more people are considering themselves just photographers.
Mm-hmm. I will say I'm slowly. Like I've done video for a few jobs, and when I've been asked if I offer video in like certain contained scenarios,
the answer is maybe.
I will say yes.
We're recording this and we're
the
main light turned off.
What? Excuse me.
See, this is why we're 68% of us only shoot photos.
What the heck? Did it just give up on us?
They were like, this is so sad and so bad. I can't record this. The new AI and the cameras know if it's just real bad. It's like, this is...
It was like, oh no, they haven't actually started yet. We'll stop.
This is just such a bad... All right, so the first major category is employment. So basically they're saying full-time versus part-time. And I don't even know how to read this.
So it's comparing 23, 24, and 2025. Just keeps going up and up how many people consider themselves full-time photographers. And then if you look at the people who identify as part-time, self-employed photographers, that's going down since 2023.
And one thing, though, I will say that we don't know about this, though, is what does it consider to be a full-time? And I don't want to take away from anyone, but like if, say, you don't have a job and you pick up photography, but your spouse makes enough money to then cover your photography, can you consider yourself a full-time photographer?
Yeah, like what is the threshold of income that considers you full-time?
I would assume whatever you need to survive without it. Like, obviously, we are full-time photographers. 100% of our income comes from photography.
Right.
And if
we don't do anything else.
And if I lost all that money, I would be... There's the second one. Camera just turned off again.
What the heck?
This is the state of the industry. Interesting, though, in specialities of people who consider themselves photographers, baby... Children, toddler, and newborn are up 2%, 2.5%, while weddings, portraits, landscapes, those are all down almost a percentage point in terms of what people consider their speciality to be. Doesn't mean weddings are down necessarily. I mean, they are, but it just means that people that consider themselves a wedding photographer has gone down. Weirdly, though, horse photography is almost up 1%. Horse photography. What? What? Why am I in the wrong business? See, here's the thing is I would then become a horse photographer, and it would all like, they were like, well, it was only 2025 was a good year for horses. 2026 was just the worst horse year ever. Okay, great.
Okay, we're back, fully operational.
I'm embarrassed.
It's fine.
Yeah. So anyway, I was just going over that. But the full-time, we were saying we don't know specifics of what considered full-time, part-time. But
they also ask people about what equipment they use. Mm-hmm. And I'm shocked that there was a dip in people responding that they used mirrorless. Because I just imagine that's just continuing to, like, or is it like people switching to film that's cutting back on mirrorless? I don't know. And DSLR stayed the same.
Yeah, but iPhones, well, I guess not iPhones, phones went up. So you can see right there from 2023, phones went up. So maybe it's a combination of using your phones plus maybe a little bit of film has caused mirrorless to go down.
I don't know. Or are people just not buying new gear? So I'm not sure.
This is interesting too. The camera usage between who uses a single camera up to 4 cameras. Obviously, single camera was number one with what, 60%? Over 60% use one. I don't know if that's percentage.
It's not labeled.
Yeah. But 2 cameras, and it's pretty close from people using single to 2. I would love, so much of what we do, I've been taught with single cameras because we didn't really ever have 2, or like the jobs, like if we worked at Disney, they gave us 1 camera. So like I shoot still a lot with 1 camera because I'm so fast at like changing, and I'm pretty know of like what I want to use ahead of time. Like I'm like, okay, this is gonna be this. I switch the lens real quick, but I wouldn't lie. Walking around with 2 mirrorless cameras, I wouldn't hate it.
Yeah, and I've done it for certain jobs when I know I'm not going to have enough time to switch lenses. Normally it's a wedding. Yeah. Or I shouldn't say that. I've also had it at like award ceremonies where I need to be tight on the presenter, but then I'm immediately going to have to be doing, whoever just got that award, I need to do a group shot on stage. Yeah. And it was there. That's too much switching back and forth when you're doing award after award. So in those instances, I already know that I will need, I always have 2 cameras with me, but I know that I will need to be switching so quickly. I do have what's the equivalent of a 24 to 120 lens. So occasionally I'll just put that on my camera when I know I need to change focal lengths a lot if the 120 is close up enough. Yeah. The problem is it's an f4. So when I'm in a dark, if I'm in doing an award ceremony, everything's dark except what's on stage, and my flash is going to ruin things, and so I'm trying to, shoot wide open.
Hopefully it's lit. The stage would be lit for you with a nice color temperature and perfect lighting, because that always happens, right? Oh.
And that's another thing too. When I know I'm gonna do a scenario like that, like I'll have on the on-camera flash on the photo, like the camera for the group shots, and not have it on for the speaker, so I'm not interrupting the speeches, but I'm getting a good group shot when I have multiple people in the photo.
There you go. 2 cameras.
Yeah. It is kind of a pain, though.
It is. Other interesting findings. Drone photography is more commonly used. I'm not surprised with that at all.
More commonly used than phone cameras. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's so many reasons people use drones, even for photos.
They give a cool perspective that you just can't do anywhere else.
Mm-hmm. I keep saying that I'm assigning that to Ryan, that he needs to go through the pilot certification and do all of that.
You need, and I don't want to generalize, but you need a boy that just wants to play with a toy and be like, here you go, little one. Be free. And there's your drone guy.
We have a couple of them, but we We've never done the certification, and I just can't put another thing on my plate right now.
That's why you give it to a boy that wants to play with some toys.
Yeah. So they did separate not the survey, not just by like what specific type of photography that people do, but they separated it into business models. Yep. So it was client-based.
Which is
what we do.
Yeah, but what is it?
But it's basically things that are custom to like a specialty event. Like it's a family hiring you.
Seniors, portraits.
Newborns. All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then the second category was event or sport based, but it wasn't like you're not being hired by someone in participating in the event. You're being hired by the event sport itself, organization, the event itself.
Dance photos, football team photos, school photos.
Right. You're hired by the league, not by a specific client. And then the third area was like art and production based. So that was like the fine art, commercial, photojournalism.
But not always self-directed. And then they go on about how they chose that and how if you selected it, but that's not.
Yeah. So, so of the people that they surveyed, 70% were client-based.
Which is what we are.
Yeah. Occasionally we dip our toes into the other areas, but not really.
16% arts and only 13% doing events.
Yeah.
Again, would they say events? Obviously we shoot events, but they were specifically, like she said, events hired by someone else, not the client.
Yeah. So something they saw in the way they answered asked these questions was that people were like diversifying across business models too. Yep. And that there was like a seasonality to certain things. Mm-hmm. And so in their off seasons, photographers were picking up something different to fill the gaps.
We live in Florida, so I've always known wedding season to be January through January because you can get married. Not only do people come here to get married, you can basically get married year round. Mm-hmm. And it was wild to me that people were like, oh, wedding season in like the north is just May and then just October.
Like, yep.
You're like, what? So I could see that where like you need to diversify outside of other things and be like, what do I do during the summer or during the winter?
Yeah. Well, because there it's like in the Northeast, it's, I don't know, like April through June is like the really big.
I know. Just keep going. The camera turned off again.
No, it didn't.
Just kidding. I'm keeping that one. Am I editing this one? Yeah. Oh, I love that. So through June.
And then I think maybe some of the fall.
Yeah.
But, you know, they're avoiding all of winter because they have blizzards and all this other stuff. So, yeah, picking up something when that's happening, I don't know what kinds of photography work well in the winter.
And obviously with school photos, there's a point where kids aren't in school, apparently. So you can't shoot during then.
Yeah. So, and then, you know, just talking about diversifying, you're taking the equipment you already invested in and now you're finding new ways to make more money off of the same equipment, and then you're also providing income stability.
I think people are nervous more about, because you talked about this maybe some other time years ago, but you talked about how in art, when we started up, people were like, you do weddings.
Yes.
Be a master of one, not a master, a master of none.
Yeah, I feel like when I started, the recommendation was like, you have to niche down. You have to figure out, kind of coming from like a speciality perspective, but also from like a marketing perspective, that people know you are a wedding photographer. Yeah. You are a family photographer, and you had to pick one. When
you look at your Instagram, it should just be weddings. It should just be newborns.
Right.
But I think now the trend is saying, that's not what we're going to do anymore.
Yeah. And I mean, I never really figured mine out either. So I've always been diversified across.
Money, please.
Money, please. I say I photograph people.
Yeah.
Like, I work with people. If there are people in the picture, I can be there. And actually, even if there aren't people in the picture.
I photograph money.
But I feel like it served me well to some extent, when the pandemic hit and like weddings just stopped,
Yeah.
like I was still able to do a few other things for businesses, things for families that kept me going.
I agree.
So this is like a recurring thing that's been each year in the report, where basically
What's their biggest
challenge has been finding new clients.
Yep. And it's every year. Like I swear it never changes. Of course, if you're a self-employed photographer, finding people that want to be photographed and want to pay you.
Right.
Is your hardest thing.
Well, and I think this is another way that you and I diversify, because we don't only have our own businesses. Like, we work for a few other places that find the clients for us. Correct. And we just show up. So yeah, okay. So here are some wild things. They asked people what were some unconventional things that they did this past year to generate revenue. And these are more like anecdotal rather than statistical responses.
Word good.
Yep. Okay, so the first one. Wait, no, come back. Air conditioning units and custom pools.
You know, there was a job once I saw at, this is off topic, but it is, at Disney once that had like, it was either for maintenance or for Imagineering, and I can't remember, but they needed a full-time photographer that basically all they did was photograph like every ride part for documentation. So they would go through and photograph every wheel, every nut, every bolt, everything on an attraction, but they had to constantly do it because it was always updating, because they needed stuff for operating guides. They need to be able to look through books and be like, this is what it looks like when they're training someone. This is what it is. They need all that documentation. I was like, sign me up for that.
You know, I did that once.
I'm sure it's gone now because they probably just use a smartphone.
Right.
But
there was a landscape company I worked for in Athens. They had me do like a time-lapse video of one of their big projects. And then they also had me go out to the like stone and gravel company they used as their supplier. And they just have like these giant bins of rocks. And so I took pictures of every single bin so that the landscape company could have them on their website so people could pick what they wanted.
See?
Sign me up.
Unconditional. I like this one. Documentation for Amish businesses.
And it said it was a unique market with little competition. I mean,
they can't use electronics.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
I don't know what they do. So do they just like outsource all of it? Like, it's not like you could give them the pictures and then they could post them themselves on Instagram.
But do they pay you in a barn?
I don't know. I want more information.
I know. Passport photos. That's been a new one. And actually, I have photographed a passport photo before, and even a few years ago, the restrictions were so crazy that I would be like, I'm never doing this again. It took, it was not a headshot. It was a 900-hour job to have it exactly right. But I know they've actually, loosened the restrictions. You can now take passport photos on your phone.
Really?
Yeah, and upload them now. You don't need to, do the whole, go to a professional anymore, so.
Huh. I just always figured it was easiest to, go to Walgreens or one of the,
it was.
Because they have everything set up with the camera that doesn't change and they just press a button. After
doing it a couple times for someone, when I needed our passport photos, I was like, we're going to Walgreens. Yeah. But yeah, I read somewhere that you don't even you can do it with your phone now. As long as you just look straight on, because of all the software and the AI, they're like, we know who you is. So.
And then one other one they mentioned was insurance claims.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming documentation for
car crashes, anything that insurance needs documentation of to pay out people or not pay out people.
And I wonder too if it's if businesses before pictures as well, big corporations with big policies. I don't know. I want more information.
Go back up real quick though. But they talked about this is kind of like that, but institutions have stability. So again, they talk about schools, things that always happen every year. Kids get yearbook photos every year. Kids get team sports photos every year. We used to think about that weddings, as everyone always gets married, and they're still getting married, but sometimes they're getting scaled down. So that's why these big institutions like that always seem to be
well,
a
like
deal.
That's like the naturalization ceremonies that I do. I do them every single month because they have new citizens that they're bringing in every single month, and it's like just that nice, not easy, but like repetitive, guaranteed.
You know it's coming.
The courthouse is going to pay for it. Yeah, and then most photographers saying they found success in being flexible and trying things that weren't necessarily in their specialty.
Just saying yes to stuff.
Yep.
Especially when times are lean.
Yeah.
Weddings were down almost 50%, but portrait sessions were up 35%. Says a wedding photographer of 16 years. So you'll see that a lot where...
Yeah, and then another wedding photographer says, I've picked up a considerable amount of corporate work compared to previous years. Headshots, stock photos, corporate events, and so on.
What have been our, weekly, it's all I've been doing this month is corporate stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and, I talked with I've been talking with a few different DJs. Basically, anyone I'm on a wedding with, I'm just like, oh, how are you doing? How are you, how are things going for you? And there was one DJ that I've run into over the years, for many years. I think he's been in business 8 or 10 years or something like that. But he said that this coming July is the first month ever since he's been in business that they have 0 jobs. And he has a big team. Yeah. Because he has staff that work in the warehouse. Because, they don't just do DJing, right? They're doing lights, they're doing photo booth, they're doing a million different event-based things. So they have people in the warehouse pulling the items for particular events, loading the trucks and stuff. And then he said those same people, he's always able to fill out their full-time hours with sending them out on events for the other half of their week worth, and they're installing, setting up, breaking down, whatever. And he's like, I had to tell them I don't
no money.
I don't know what I'm going to do for this summer. I can't do full-time because there's just nothing to do. Yep. And he even said that corporate jobs are what's keeping him going this year.
So corporations are the only thing making money. Great. Thank you, corporate overlords.
Yep.
Seen a lot of sports teams.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever tried doing team photo, sports photos?
I have not.
Me neither.
I know it's I should say no, but I know it's a pretty tough market. Usually they find someone they like and they stick to it. So we have a friend that moved back home. Shout out Jake Galati.
Yeah.
And they went back to their smaller hometown and they just kind of cornered the market. And they do weddings, but they do mostly sports team photos. And every year they need more photos because a new group of kids leave and a new group of kids come. They seem to be doing pretty well. But in my school here in Orange County, they still use
Life
Touch. So
Yeah. Yeah, I don't.
The photos are great. I can't. They do the backgrounds now. Or I think it's just a green screen, isn't it? They just drop them in because you get 16 different backgrounds when the photos come in. We don't buy them because I'm no, I'm not buying these. But I can always say they look good. Mm-hmm. I'm not oh, these look garbage. No, they know what they're doing, but they're just shooting them through.
I applied when I first moved back to Florida in 2014. I had applied to Life Touch, and I got offered a job, but I got offered a job elsewhere at the same exact time, and I took that instead. But yeah, they it's so formulaic, right?
It's very
there's measurements of how far the tripod is from the stand.
They tell you what to shoot at. There's no they hide because anyone could do it. You just push the button,
right? And then. But it's so much travel involved, and that's what tipped me. That's what made me go with the other opportunity instead of that one because I was you could be driving 2 hours in any direction because they serve so many counties and Moral of the story: don't be scared to go out and try gigs you haven't done before.
It's true. With that said, I'm not doing anything.
Okay, so
business structure and workflow.
one of the big things they asked about was face-to-face interactions. So do you do face-to-face meetings?
I will try, but you'd be surprised at how many people don't have the time or just don't want to, which is a weird thing because, yes, we all know face-to-face meetings improve sales, improve clients, like actually getting the jobs. But a lot of times they don't. And we live, again, in Orlando where people come to us. So a lot of times they're not even living here. So trying to get them, I guess FaceTime does count. It's not the same, I feel, but, I try. I always offer it. I always push for it. But it seems like it doesn't always come through.
I know. When I first started doing like bar and bat mitzvahs and weddings, when I got an inquiry, I didn't tell you anything until we had an in-person meeting. Like that was the first time we discussed anything. It was like, oh, you're interested? Great. Let's schedule an in-person meeting.
Sure.
And we would meet at a coffee shop or I'd go to their house or like whatever. And I was very successful in booking the people that were willing to meet me in person.
Yeah.
I mean, 9.5 out of 10. Like, it was very, very rare. But then the pandemic happened, and everyone got used to Zoom, and, like, no one wants to meet in person, which I will say, too, we're in Orlando. Orlando is gigantic, and it takes a long time to get anywhere in Orlando. So I think, too, people don't want to drive somewhere. Unless it's like it's really super convenient. So yeah, I haven't met in person in a long time.
Burp. That was not a fart.
I shouldn't say at all. I mean, I do still have some that I meet in person. A lot of my corporate, like my branding clients, like we meet in person, but
but like weddings, like, I mean, I had one last year. We met in person, and that sealed the deal. But like the one we shot with Danielle, obviously we kind of had that other family background, but we still just Zoomed it. Like we Zoomed because they didn't live here. I had that one in December at Swan, still same, Zoom. They didn't want me, even though they came down here. They're like, no, we're good. I was like, okay.
Yeah. But
and I kind of want to meet you too, though, because sometimes, like, I can catch some red flags early, or I can shut things down early. Like, we're not doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I think to an extent, doing Zoom meetings fills a little bit of that.
It's not the same, but it covers like 60% of 50% of what you needed. Like,
yeah, it still gives you that like live interaction, like where I can tell you are not enjoying what I'm saying. Correct. Or where you're like totally 100% on board. I think, I'm not positive yet, but I think I might have lost a job. Not lost, like they hadn't booked yet, but
because they saw you.
No, like on the Zoom call, I could just see it in the bride. It was like the bride and her fiance and then her parents. And basically, I don't know that we were going to be the best fit.
But see, I think that's a good thing.
Exactly.
Because if you had just gone through email and then you get the day of.
Right, or we get to, it's a month before and we're doing our planning session and we're butting heads.
Yeah.
So yeah, I shouldn't say I lost it. We had the, initial consultation, I guess, to see like what they would need, what they would want from me, what they're looking for. And, there was just some things that they were looking for that I just couldn't get on board with. So, and I was just honest, like I will do a little bit of that, but like, I don't believe in doing that. And so, yeah. It was the blurring out of focus. Blurring out of focus for standing still portraits.
It was going to be like a bunch of nudes or something.
No. It was just the whole like dynamic style. And, I don't want you to look back at your wedding portraits in 20 years and they're blurry and out of focus.
You're being true to yourself. They're being true to themselves. And that's okay.
Yeah.
And we're not a good fit.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Totally fine. And
this makes sense here, though, where like obviously where personal connection drives revenue, us client-based, obviously the bigger of a personal connection, the more we're going to book stuff.
Right.
While for events and fine arts, that's not necessarily a thing.
Right. Yeah, you're literally not making any personal connection with like kids for team sports.
Yeah.
You don't even usually directly
even if
talk
you
with them.
even if you do, it's not necessarily driving your revenue because they've already purchased the package and you're just connecting on that level. Well, we
Right.
need to connect beforehand to get the revenue sometimes. So,
Yep.
yep.
Yeah, and then this also included in-person sales, which neither of us do. It stresses me out.
I'm not a salesman. What can I say?
I know. Do you, with your weddings though, do you have, like, a lot of what we deliver is digital, right? Do you have ever where you're delivering final products other than digitals?
I deliver it depends on the package, but they get a USB as well that has their name on it and comes a little thing. And we do a thank you card as well. But everyone, they never live here, so it just gets mailed. So it's not like a, in a, face to face, but.
Yeah. I've done, most of my albums I hand deliver.
Yeah.
Largely because I want to see it first. And the only time is if they're like on a tight timeline of when they want it.
I'm starving. I swear.
Eat before you get here, Jacob.
I hate breakfast. I don't eat breakfast.
But yeah, so like if sometimes it's a tight turnaround where they're going to have like, I did the wedding photos or whatever, but then they're having like a casual party with everyone. They want to show the album at the casual party, something like that, where I'll mail it directly. But if they're here, I normally hand deliver.
I just don't get a lot of
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, we're in Orlando. It's a lot of
And
traveling.
I get, let's be honest, from my Disney days, I get a lot of repeats, but they don't live here because they eloped here. So then like their sister comes and gets married here. So they're never here, I swear. Interactions.
Yeah.
Business performance in 2024. Did we mention this is all based on 2024, right?
Yeah, this is the report of 2024, yeah. Okay, so this was wild. So they're comparing business closures in 2023 with business closures in 2024, and then the same with business openings.
Yes.
And they separated it by type of business. And what is wild to me is the number of wedding photography businesses that closed in 2023. It's like double of anything else.
Which is weird because, again, 21, 22, into 23 were my busiest years ever.
Well, 2022 was like, there were more weddings in the United States in 2022 than any year since 1984. I don't know, maybe people just, like, there was a drop-off in 2023, but not as much as there's been since then. And then in 2024, what was it that closed the most?
Keep going. Portraits.
Interesting. But...
Or did a bunch of wedding photographers, after they were already on their way out, and then through COVID, and then the 2021, 2022, where it was just insane.
Just like burnt them out. And
they said, all right, I'm done. Or they were going to retire anyway, and so it was just that was the cake.
Yeah. But in terms of business openings, client-based, there's way more opening.
It's easy to open up a client-based as opposed to an event-based or even an art-based one. Just makes sense.
So basically, less businesses of what we do closed.
Correct.
And more opened.
So more saturation.
Right. Do you know that people are surprised when I tell them that Orlando is like super saturated market for photographers? And I was like, there are millions, it feels like.
Because anyone can come down and shoot at a theme park or a resort. Doesn't mean they all last.
No. Or even that it's their only income.
Correct.
But just which it makes it even harder for full-time photographers when there are part-time photographers in the market. Because they can just pick and choose when they do them, and they can have lower prices because they're not fully insured and all this other stuff. So... But basically, competition is increasing.
It's always increasing. The cost of doing business. Apparently needing to eat more. Go back down real quick. It said in 2024, our business costs went from between 6 and 10%. So just the cost of doing business. Obviously, everything that includes gear, internets, computers, hard drives, cars, gas.
I was actually surprised because I
Food.
just renewed like my Squarespace and my Cloud, but like I renewed everything, and I don't know if I'm in like locked in pricing, but nothing went up of that type of stuff.
Knock on wood.
But I know everything else has gone up. I mean, just gas getting back and forth to jobs.
Food has gone up. That's why I can't afford any. That's why my stomach is growling so much.
But the thing that they realized in doing this is that people were reporting that their costs were going up, but people were not reporting that their prices increased. So people are keeping their prices the same even though they have more costs.
So in our business, the client base, 69% said costs have increased. And then, but in events, 71% said they went up, and in arts, 66% said they went up. So everyone said their costs have increased.
Yeah. All right. Print versus digital.
Here we go.
What are your thoughts?
Photographers who are new to the industry use digital images with securing bookings with new clients. It's a practical for client acquisition. It limits revenue potential. This makes long-term profitability difficult. It's tough because, digital is what everybody wants, but prints and other items make a lot of money.
Right.
And that's probably where in-person sales or just being in person, you have to sell that to them because people don't care. They don't care. Very few have prints. They're not putting prints on their walls. Yeah. So you have to basically sell them on that idea. And some people, you can just tell right off the bat, they're not interested. So yeah, I'm always going to be digital first and print second because I just need the booking. We'll deal with on the back end.
Yeah. I would say in all of my years, I can only think off the top of my head of like 5 clients who explicitly said they were doing this session to get a large wall print.
Yeah.
5. Like, I have one family every year. They do like a 36 by 24 print of their kids doing something like fun and silly.
It's still just one print.
Yeah.
They still want the digitals. They still want the whole session.
The whole session, yeah. And then I have one client that I've done like all of their family events. And so after, like we've done bar and bat mitzvahs, we've done vow renewal, we've done like all of it. And after that, she ordered prints from everything. And that was when I hand delivered, and it was like 24 by 36 of each of the kids. Most people, I mean, I've even had people ask for custom packages for weddings because they don't hang prints of themselves. They're like, I feel like it's weird to have a big picture of myself on my wall.
Yeah. I think so the newest generation isn't like,
it's not aesthetic.
Yeah.
So
we don't have any wedding portraits up.
Yeah.
We have one of the photographer with our first dance, and it's a picture of my hands like on her waist. So it's a tight shot. It's like the back of her dress down to like her butt basically, and just my hands. That's it. Because I'm kind of the same way. I was like, I don't know if I really want a photo of me, and but I mean, maybe we have family photos, but
yeah,
I don't know.
We have a picture of us from Paris. Like we're on the other side of the river from the Eiffel Tower doing a little dance twirl, and I got a big print of that because we had this like little narrow wall, and I printed it like, I don't know, 15 inches across and like 30 inches tall, since it's the Eiffel Tower. Sure. And it like fit perfectly on the wall. But it's more the Eiffel Tower than us. We're like little in the picture.
And I get things like that. That's why I always felt like Disney's like Magic Kingdom shoots, those are designed for prints.
Yeah.
Like that's probably the one time if I had something like that where it's iconic, Eiffel Tower, but not that, weddings are, but just a normal wedding somewhere, my wedding.
Well, I mean, even my own sister, like I've done pictures of her and her son, but she does like the mixed tiles. Like she's not ordering prints from me because she wants to do like the cute little ones with a bunch of them on the wall.
Have you tried doing in-person sales with her to get your revenue up? Because look at this, if your own sister won't buy from you, what?
I did not do a sales pitch.
We're screwed.
But I think there are other like photo decor solutions that people want to go through. So I don't know. I mean, I get it. I get that doing in-person sales and pushing other products, or like you only get the digital if you order the print.
Yeah.
I get that, but I just don't know that I could find enough people to do it.
I know like event-based, like printing, like a team photo, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
Printing for everyone gets a print or it's included in it. So that's where their prices can go pretty high. But you can see here, best-selling items, no matter what, it's still digitals. If you have less than 10 years experience, you're over half, almost, double it's digitals. But even with more than 10 years experience, you're still selling more prints or more digitals than prints. Mm-hmm. This is what it is.
Yeah. All right, pricing.
Pricing.
I actually am surprised that they have like what dollar amounts. I know. People tell me this all the time. Okay, so Jacob's freaking out because
that doesn't bother me.
It's okay. So they under the client-based photography, they've got family photography, portrait photography, wedding photography, etc., with a price range based on the people that responded and what comes with that price range.
Yes.
So family photography,
$600 to $800.
Okay.
I'm okay with that. Mm-hmm. I'm a little less than that.
Me too.
But just because we're in a saturated market.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm okay with that price. But the package includes 20 photos. What? How do I get someone to pay that much money and only give them 20 photos?
I don't know.
That doesn't happen here.
But it does though, because I have other photographers that like see my packages, or actually I had one photographer
Who's seen your package?
No,
That's what she said?
Who referred me to, like, referred a family to me. And then afterwards, that photographer came back and was like, you need to raise your prices and you need to give them less photos. I don't know.
I'm hungry.
I don't know. And I will be 100% honest. That is more work for me to get the session down to 20 images.
Yeah, like I like all these photos. Here, you decide which one.
Exactly, and I don't know which expression they like best, and
because the one I like, but they're like, oh, I liked the one over here. So I'm like, well, then you decide. They're all the same.
Especially for families.
Yeah, when kids are squirming and portrait photography, $175 to $1,500.
That is so wild.
Okay. And then
digital delivery with occasional prints.
Sure. Weddings, $2,400 to $4,000. Highest price specialty industry, an album, an engagement session, and digital collections.
I feel like, I'm right in there.
Yeah, that's right in the spot.
My lowest is lower than that, but my highest is higher than that.
So, and then like school, I have no basis in reality, but 20 to 55, I assume that means per student.
That still seems cheap.
Price-centric business model with the most diverse package offerings. So it says $20 to $55. It's got to be per kid, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
But yes, everyone raise your rates,
yeah.
please. AI in photography. Simplify workflows, automate mundane and repetitive tasks. So, what do most people think about AI? And 56% say that's positive. Again, this is photographers. While only 11% said negative.
Wait, positive and wait.
Oh, that's weird.
No, that is. Oh, I see. So like 31% said that they think it's a positive thing. 11% said negative, and then 56% said both.
Because I'm the same. Because I do think that AI is great in terms of our back-end stuff, in terms of editing, culling, things that AI can do to make our lives easier, but not to create.
Correct.
I don't want AI to create.
Correct.
I want it to make my job easier.
Yes. So I use, what do you already use AI for?
Well, I know it's baked into Lightroom and Photoshop already. So, removing backgrounds, removing trash cans, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Again, we've talked about this briefly. I don't use it yet for culling. I know some people do and they love it. I haven't gotten that far into it, but basically any kind of AI that's built into our editing software. Yeah,
I haven't used it for culling yet. I use Photoshop, Lightroom, I also, that's all that Avoto is, basically. Because with Avoto, you can take an image and basically it's just like a panel of sliders for like removing dark circle, removing frizzy hair, and you just like slide it to what percentage you want that effect applied to the image, and then it syncs across the images. So it's identifying faces and, you know, doing all that with AI. And then I have tried Imagine, which they have a culling component to it. I didn't use that. I basically culled in Lightroom, uploaded the Lightroom catalog, and it has like profiles that you can choose from, or if you upload 3,000 of your own edited images, like a Lightroom catalog that's done, it will create a profile for you based on your editing style.
It knows.
Yeah, so basically, I picked one because my editing is just like, I want it to look like what it looked like in real life. So it's very clean. So I picked like a clean and light, I forget what it's called, profile that was already in there from like Susan Stripling, which is a, you know, famous photographer.
Shout out Susan Stripling.
And basically you upload the Lightroom catalog and then it goes through the images and then you download the Lightroom catalog and they have been edited. And it was like,
it's pretty wild.
7 minutes for a bar mitzvah. And I was like, and there were a few. The first job I used it on was it was a nonprofit gala. So there were like 30 images at the beginning that I felt like were too warm because it was actually a white wall and it like let it be a little yellow. So I had to cool those down and then brighten them. And then other than that, I didn't touch it. It cropped things. It straightened the images. And then it applied the...
And you may think, and you think if you're like, well, if as a client, if you're doing this, I shouldn't have to pay you as much because you're now doing less work. All these things cost.
Yeah, I had to pay for those.
More money.
Actually, one of our friends is tech support for Imagine, so she got me 2,000 free credits to test it out. But I'm at the end of that, so if I'm going to continue using it, I'm going to have to pay for all of that.
So our time is shortened, but our costs are risen.
Yeah.
So. I don't know, though. Would you rather spend 40 hours working on that Lightroom catalog or spend $50 a month?
Yeah. I mean, I probably will continue using it for like nonprofit events like that or like bar mitzvah receptions. But the thing is, all of the time is in the culling for me because I shoot so much, much of my final image is in the camera.
Yeah.
So
we both shoot that way. We get it right in camera for the most part.
Right. So the time-consuming part is still the culling, which I still would have to do because I still don't think I'm ready to let AI cull
You would still
my
have to
images.
check it. Like, you can't trust it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you use any AI for, like, business tools other than... So they separate it into photography and then also business tools.
I don't... I haven't written any SEO. It says cull photos, I guess, in business tools, but not generate captions. I'm hilarious, so I don't need AI to generate captions. And my CRM hasn't implemented any kind of AI yet. They say they are, where you can like help create workflows and emails and things like that. It just seems, and I'm old, it just seems so impersonal. But I also get that like, if it can write it and just send it out, then...
Yeah.
Does the client really know it's from me or from AI?
I know. I haven't used it for any of that either. Occasionally I have used it to like generate blog post ideas. Like, here's my go to my website, generate 10 blog post ideas for me. And then I have a list and then I can go from there. But I'm still writing it all on my own. It was just to like get some ideas of what might be popular. It never occurs to me. I'm doing an event this weekend. It's like a pop-up kind of marketing event with several different businesses. It's like a get ready for summer. So there's a spray tan place and a nail salon and personal fitness. And then I'm doing pictures. And the woman from the nail salon, she's like, oh yeah, I made our whole flyer on ChatGPT. And I was like, it would not have even occurred to me.
So some photography tool usage, sky selection, background removal, content aware, noise reduction, editing. We were already doing those already. So it's just, it feels like AI is just, they're just calling it AI now, but it's the same stuff that's already been happening.
Yeah, content aware has been in Photoshop for a long time.
But the tool usage, like metadata tagging, culling, blog writing, captions, social media writing. How about AI can post my social media and write it and not do anything? That would be great.
Right.
If I just go, here's a photo.
So how much of us not using AI in these things is because we're not doing these things?
Correct.
Like, I don't need you to do my social media captions because I haven't posted on social media.
But, like, they're talking about, does it streamline? And honestly, like, it's very small. It's rarely. So that's the thing, is it's not really, it barely streamlines what we do. We're already doing some of this stuff anyway. So, education, trade shows, going back to school, help it do it, things like that. 63% said they were likely to attend a trade show this year. I haven't been to a trade show in, what? Did you go to the one in Vegas? That was the last one I went to. I didn't find much about them that, like, I liked the actual, like, obviously the convention floor where you could see the newest cameras, you could shoot with them, you could try on harnesses and things, like actually having that. But the classes of all of the expos I've been to have always been underwhelming.
Well, I got frustrated because I've only been to one major one. I've been to a few smaller ones, and I actually thought the smaller ones were better.
Yeah.
And I've been to trade shows at smaller ones where there's only like 6 to 10 vendors. But like at WPPI, I don't know who decided which speakers deserved big rooms and which ones deserved small rooms.
Yeah, right.
Because I feel like they were always opposite. All of the most popular speakers had, 30 seats in their rooms, and they booked up way in advance where, like, you would have to miss an entire other session to get there early enough to get a seat. So I didn't get to go to many of my first choice, classes.
And so many of them said they were for, like, advanced photographers, and we'd get in there and they were talking about beginner level stuff.
Or ultimately they were pitching their class or their course or their
And I've heard they've worked down that, but I've been to WPPI and PPA, and I felt both have been, for the big ones, have been just kind of
I agree, though. The actual trade show floor was pretty awesome because I've gone.
That's how I got my CRM. Like, I got so many things from them, just like seeing it and playing with it.
That's how I picked what my album supplier was going to be, because I got to go and see them all in person, and they had sample packs of all the materials, and that's how I bought 2 or 3 lenses at WPPI. Like, I knew I was planning on buying from Sigma, but I wanted to, like, hold it in my hand. I wanted to attach it to my camera and try it out and, see how sharp it was and all that kind of stuff. My camera bag that I have, I bought that at, what was the one that used to come to Disney? SPI? That we used to get to go to for free.
I know who you're talking
Disney.
to, but I don't remember because it doesn't exist anymore, right?
No, I don't think it does. But I bought that there.
They're on the list of failed wedding photographers. So I don't know. Would I go back to one? Probably. I liked it. The WPPI one in Vegas when all of us went. There was like 15 of us. That was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
We had a good time.
I don't think we learned a lot, but
we
had
did.
a lot of fun.
We had a lot of fun. And we actually, Stephanie and I shot a wedding, so we disappeared for a day.
And I did a family portrait with her, too.
So.
Yeah.
So the key findings. What did we learn? Personalized service drives revenue. Duh. We've always said that. We're in client-based. They're buying you. They're purchasing you as a person. At least the idea of you.
Yeah. And I mean, we've specifically talked about how, like, we feel like what we do is a client service.
Yep.
Like, it's not necessarily an art.
Diversification is on the rise as photographers seek stability. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Things are getting a little tight right now. The world is uneasy. So finding jobs that give you stability, photography jobs. So that means not just shooting weddings. That means, you know, shooting whatever weird dog photos in a, I don't know. And that goes along with flexibility, being flexible, being open to shoot at different times and different things, and just saying yes to a job that normally you would be like, no, but maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. Raise your prices, okay?
Okay.
So you're all getting your prices raised. Sorry. And print is not dead, but I feel like they say that every year.
Yeah. And I don't say that it's not dead. I just don't see a clear path forward for me in my business, in the clients I've gathered, and in what I'm doing to like switch to
and we're not anti-print. I love prints. Like, man, it does, like when a person shows me a print of they did on the wall, it looks fantastic. But, you know.
Yeah, anytime I go to someone's house or business where they have my prints hung up, I'm like, ooh, can I take a picture? So.
There you go.
All right.
That's the state of the industry.
I'm still shocked at how many wedding businesses closed in 2023.
Good.
And then they're not closing in 2024.
Well, I'll be closed in 2025, so it's fine. Oh, my God. All right. That's it. What did you shoot this week?
All right. So this week, we spent too much time together.
This is the epitome. This is exactly what our two, like, why don't we work? We should just be one company, let's be honest. Because tell us what we did on Monday.
So the first day we were together, it was for... there's a co-working space downtown. And so I had set up with them to be there for a day for headshots. So it's good for them because it's like an event and a benefit for their members to come in. And I offered a discount for the members. But then also I could bring in clients from the outside, which is also of benefit to them because now they get new people to learn who they are and what they offer. So we had a day of, I can't remember if we had like 12 or 13 people come through. We actually even did a few videos for the co-working space themselves. But yeah, so that was that day. And then the very next day...
I had a headshot session at the Evermore Resort, where it's something I have been photographing them for 3 years now, off and on, where they come in and all the managers or new managers get headshots. It is, again, it's a stable client-based job that I have done over and over again, and they seem to love them. So... while I assisted Dawn on day one, the next day Dawn assisted me. And then we were going through literally the same hours, like the amount of hours. So we were sitting there going, okay, I owe you this. And then wait.
It was literally like 9 to 2:30 and then like 9:30 to 3.
Yeah. So I was like, do we just call it a wash?
Yeah.
I think you owed me. No, I owed you more. Someone owed more. So I was just like, well, just bring your strip box and we'll call it even.
Yeah. Jacob rented equipment.
And it was a wash. So we didn't even pay each other because that's how ridiculous it is.
And the day that I was doing, people recognized you from other events you had shot.
They like me better.
And then on your day, it was like past client of mine. It gets very messy.
It's so weird.
It's a little confusing.
It's so confusing.
What else did you do this week?
I did a group photo in front of the Cinema's Castle for the Traditions team. So if you know that, Traditions are the people that when you get hired at Disney, they're your first class. And so every couple years they get a whole new slew of teachers because it's not a full-time job. You are full-time somewhere and you get like you audition and you get it. And so then you maybe once or twice a week you'll go there and do the Traditions class. So we did, it's 150 people in front of the castle at 7 a.m. Looked great. And then I had a outside wedding, a freelance wedding in Clearwater. And
nice and close.
So it was and it was a hot day, of course. And you'll like this story because we just talked about exits. And I knew that we had listed we were going to do a sparkler exit. So the DJ and I were talking right before, and he was like, so we have sparklers? And I was like, yeah, but, do we know for sure? And he was like, well, I just talked to them 3 days ago, and they confirmed sparkler exit. The venue had no idea.
Oh.
That they were like, oh, we didn't know there was an exit. We're like, well, can we do it? They're like, yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay. So DJ and I are discussing, okay, so we need to end a couple minutes early to get them set up. Great. And I had kind of casually mentioned, I don't even know why, I was like, what's weird though is like, I've been in her room, both rooms. Mm-hmm. I've not seen any sparklers. Mm-hmm. Usually you see them.
Yeah. They're like set up somewhere.
Yeah.
Or...
They're just like in the box with all the other wedding reception crap that needs to go down. Hadn't seen any in the reception either, but I just made that comment. Okay. So we're dancing. It's about 30 minutes before the end of the night. DJ's like, hey, we doing this? Because the venue coordinator has disappeared and couldn't find her for the rest of the night.
Oh.
So I was like, oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I went to find her, couldn't find her. So I go back and I was like, well, I guess I'll talk to the bride. Mm-hmm. So I go up to the bride and was like, hey, we still doing sparklers? And she goes, yeah. And I was like, well, we need to get set up. Who has them? Like, who do I need to tell to get the sparklers? And she turned and she was like, well, I thought you brought them. And I thought she was joking, so I did a big ol' LOL.
Oh, no.
Like a big ol' Then I realized she was serious.
But why? Why would she think that?
I don't know. She assumed that we provided, as in photography, provided the sparklers. And then, of course, now I'm trying to backtrack and be like, no, we have not, never, ever, never, have ever, and a never, and would never, and have never, never, would never, ever. And at this point, I can tell she's getting mad. And she goes, well, fine, I guess we're not doing it then. And then she goes back to dancing. I was like, cool. So it was a very awkward, she was not happy. I could tell I was getting some stink eye. The drunk groom, though, at the end of the night, big hugs. Big hugs.
He didn't miss the sparkler exit.
So.
Okay, so we didn't mention this in our celebration exits episode. However, tip number 75.
You need to provide your own. No venue, no vendor will ever provide anything because this is your thing. Mm-hmm. So why would I bring sparklers when it's your thing? Because I'm not bringing sparklers to every wedding.
Right. You just drive around with a stock of sparklers all the time.
This is your day, so you need to...
Man.
So luckily, like I said, it was a freelance wedding, so it wasn't on me. I let the owner know. It won't, nothing will come back to me per se in terms of like if it was my own business, I'd be like, oh God. Yeah. But I would have caught that in my own business and been like, okay, you're bringing sparklers.
Right. And you probably would have told them what size to buy.
Because we have had this discussion. Like, make sure you buy the big ones. And when she would have said, oh, you don't provide them? No, you need to bring them. Okay, that would have been done months ago.
Yes. And the conversation, too, there would have been a conversation, too, about, like, is it okay at your venue to have sparklers?
Yeah.
And will they be coordinating it? And, well, they have to coordinate it.
Yeah.
I do not coordinate sparklers.
So, that was a little awkward. Haven't had a ticked off bride in a long time. Because it's Jacob. Everybody loves Jacob.
Yeah.
Luckily, it was 20 minutes of the day.
That she was mad at you.
That she was mad at me.
Well, I rounded out the week with 2 bar mitzvahs.
2.
So I've had several, or not several, but I've had a few lately where there's a temple where you do pictures on Saturday morning and then they have the service. And then they've been using the luncheon immediately after service as the whole party, which means my Saturday night is open.
Ooh.
Which means I can book another bar mitzvah where I do the temple photos on a different day. So that's what I did. I had temple photos on Friday for the first one, and then temple photos on Saturday, party on Saturday for the second one, and then switched to party.
And I couldn't be there because I was getting yelled at for sparklers.
It was really fun getting your updates, though, while we were at ours.
That's what we do, too. If we're never on a job together, we're just spilling tea back and forth like, you won't believe this.
We don't say that.
We do.
Yes. So, yeah, I remember I talked to my parents the day before or something, and they were like, oh, is Jacob going to be with you? I was like, no, I'm by myself. And my mom was like, you're going to have to get your own cookies?
No one's going to steal cookies for you.
No.
Or a slice of pizza and put it in your pockets. We have rambled for a while.
We have.
Should we save this for the next one?
Let's just do a quick rundown.
All right. Well, we kind of talked about summer at some point because it is now
We're approaching summer.
And it's hot.
I mean, it's been Florida summer for like a month and a half already, but on the calendar, it's almost real summer.
So we were thinking of, what do you do during summer? Because unlike other places, summer is not a time when we like to go out.
No.
I'd say summer is our winter, where everyone else stays inside. Like, we stay inside, and then call me in September.
Yeah.
After a hurricane, then I'll come outside. So what do you do during this summertime to do for fun?
So we are big theme park fans. So we still do theme parks even in the summer, much less frequently.
Much less.
But we just do them differently. So like we went this past week, and it was basically like walk from the parking lot and then get on Spaceship Earth, because it's an 18-minute indoor activity. And then,
with max AC.
Right. It was that, and then that was basically it. Was like you go in the air conditioning, and then you're outside for 20 minutes, and then you go back into air conditioning for 20 minutes. And that's how we made our way around World Showcase at Epcot. And then we go as early as we can, and we leave as early as we can. You know, we're there for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
So we still do that. Every year since we bought our house, our realtor does like a big movie night at Universal. They like buy out several theaters, and everyone that's ever worked with them gets to come, and free popcorn. And so that's one of our like fun, but it's in the evening. And we use my valet parking on my annual pass. So minimum outdoor time.
Walk from there to there. Into
Especially
the AC.
to get to the movie theater from the valet parking. It's right there.
Right there.
And then just yesterday, we discovered there's a new kakigori restaurant. It's like this tiny little shack almost.
I don't know what that is.
Okay, so it's like...
I shouldn't have asked.
It's like a shaved ice dessert. I'll send you a picture. But we went yesterday, and it is like the perfect treat in the summer when you're like boiling hot. And so that will be a new summer activity for us, is going to get kakigori.
I can't wait not to hear about it. We are very similar. We do what we call theme park nights. Mm-hmm. We started a couple summers ago because, again, you can stay out late with the kids because it's summer. Mm-hmm. And so we try to go to theme parks at like 6 or 7 p.m. Mm-hmm. Annual pass, you can just show up. Sun goes down. Even at that 6, 7 p.m., sun's going down.
Yeah.
Same thing. We're still going AC to AC, but it tends to be a little bit more manageable in the dark. Mm-hmm. We'll ride some rides, do some stuff, go home.
Yeah.
Theme park
but you're
nights.
still only there a few hours.
Oh, yeah. 2-3 hours tops. My kids have Sky Zone or Urban Air, if you've heard of those two, those jumping things. So my daughter loves those, so we go there a lot. Air conditioned.
Indoor.
Yep, indoors. I can plug in my laptop and edit one of these things. Obviously, a lot of indoor activities like board games. I love board games. We have a community pool, so we'll go to the community pool.
Us too.
But again, we do it either early in the morning or late at night because it's still, even in the pool, it's still hot.
Yeah, we skipped it all of last summer because it just felt like it was too hot. But the summer before, we were going like once or twice a week. Again, as soon as the pool opened, it was like 8 a.m., I think. Yeah. We would be in there, we would swim for an hour, and we would leave.
Bye. And then since we're indoors a lot, that's usually the summer, and summer is our slowest time in terms of jobs. It becomes house projects and hurricane prep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we do the same. One year, we did a very stupid thing, and it was all based on my schedule. We needed a new shed in our backyard, and I just had been so busy, like we didn't have time. We bought a kit on Amazon that we had to build because it was just way more affordable than, it was like a third of the price of the ones at Lowe's and Home Depot. So we had to build it, but I was working so much, I didn't have time to build it until July 4th weekend. And then
giant
we were
idiot.
both off for 3 days, and we spent those 3 days. We would go out at like 6:30 in the morning and start on like the quiet parts of it before we had to be like hammering stuff together, and then stop at like 10:30 and then pick it back up again. It was brutal.
Just don't go outside.
Yeah, just don't go outside.
Don't go outside. That's what I do in summer. Don't go outside.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well...
Okay. Well,
we've learned about our industry. When we're on the failed jobs or failed business of next year, you'll know why. So
worst Worst industries to join in 2025.
Everyone keep getting photography industry. Yeah, get more jobs, but get more careers going so we can do less. That's great. All right, goodbye. Very millennial feeling. Not for me, but you guys seem all right.